And Bernard will take it at the 17, excuse me. The 20, he's got a hole, look out. 35, 40, look at that speed. 50, 40, and you can kiss him goodbye.
Special teams, told you.
83 yards, Jacob Bernard. Penn looking to throw, being pressured again. Gets away from one. Great job, Chris Penn. Jacob Bernard's got it. 30, and you can kiss him goodbye again. Touchdown. 71 yards.
Oh, it was fun. There's no question about it. It was a great group of kids and a great season. And kind of the focus of the off season has been, we share a lot of kids with basketball and baseball, and kind of when we get them all back is, all right, that's done. It was a great experience. Now we have to focus on what we are right now and move forward.
How long did you take? I know a lot of coaches, like the day after whatever's over, they start focusing on next year. But I mean, I can't imagine you guys did that. You had to bask in it a little bit. How long did you take, after the last game to move on and start looking ahead?
I don't know. I mean, you think about it a lot still. Even, you go back and, even for the state championship game, you look back and you go, what could we have done to try and get a different result? But, at the end of the day, you're proud of what you accomplished. And, that next Tuesday we were turning around and we were playing a basketball game. So it wasn't that much time to actually sit back and relax a little bit. With the smaller school, coaches and players, we help out with all the sports. So we rolled into basketball, and then we went to baseball, and before you knew it, we were back into spring training.
How much do you think you learned from that season? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I know how fast a week goes by for me, but when you go 14-1 and you make it to the Dome, I mean, weeks must have just been flying by. Were you able to learn anything along the way? I mean, you're still a pretty young coach.
Yeah, there's a bunch to learn. Being going through the Thanksgiving week practice where you don't have school and you're trying to handle all those things, and all of a sudden kids have all this free time, and you got to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to make sure they're prepared for that Friday night game. You're dealing with families coming in town for Thanksgiving, and then the excitement of hosting a semifinal game, and then obviously going to the Dome itself, and all the logistics of going to the Dome are things that you kind of just store away. And if we're ever fortunate enough to go through that again, hopefully we can draw on those experiences.
A lot of people told me they were high on Lakeshore, and you said, I really think we can go 9-1 and go deep into the playoffs, and at least the quarterfinals. And I'm thinking that's kind of it's a little high aspirations, but good for you. And then you blew past those aspirations. Were you surprised at how far you guys went and how well you guys did?
I think if you asked me that in the preseason last year, I think the answer would have been yeah. But I think as we got to the midpoint of the season, and you've been fortunate to be on a couple teams where you kind of just hit a stride.
Yeah.
And you just feel like no matter what happens, you're going to be able to handle it. And as we started getting a couple injuries towards the back end of the season, and we just kept dealing with it and still being successful, you started going, all right, there's really something here that we can possibly do something special with.
You've been around, whether it be an assistant or now a head coach, but you've been around teams that winning just breeds winning. And once you get that mentality that, hey, we can do this, it just means so much for a program, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. You want it to become part of your culture. You want, when your kids step on the field, the expectation is to win. There isn't anything else. It isn't to play well against somebody and maybe come up short and put on a good showing. It's no, we're here to win, and everything we do is geared towards that. The mentality of a senior class, a really, really good junior and sophomore class behind them to help complement, and they just decided that they weren't going to accept anything else. And then as it just started moving and rolling along, and 4-0 became 8-0, and then we got into district, and we were playing Salmon for a district championship. There was something the next week that was going to be something new that the program had never done before, that group could take and say, we were the first that did it.
Right.
And that really helped keep that fire going.
Well, that leads into this year's team, and let's start with the offense. And you had arguably the player of the year at quarterback, and a kid who threw for somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 5,000 yards. I don't know what it was, exact number was. It was ridiculous, Chris Penton. And I know that's impossible to replace, but people might not realize that you talked about the juniors and sophomore class that you had coming up. You still have plenty of players, and arguably maybe one of the more dynamic players and more fun to watch players in Jacob Bernard. And just talk about maybe some of the players that are coming back, where they all fit in, and some of the key newcomers we should look for.
Well, starting up front, I thought we had a good offensive line last year.
Yeah.
We graduated 3 seniors, but we had a lot of depth. And as people got nicked up, we asked certain kids who were younger to have to spot start, things of that nature. I'm excited about our offensive line this year. We've got 3 returning starters, if you count guys who got spot starts here and there. And then
and who are they? Talk about.
Well, working from left to right, Sam Guillory wasn't a wholesale starter last year, but he started 3 or 4 games at left tackle, and we're high on him. High motor, great work ethic. Left guard is going to be Greg Clark, who's going to be a 2-year starter for us. Hopefully he's starting to get a little bit of attention from the college ranks, and hopefully he can continue his career on past this next season with us. Carter Smith is going to be a kid who's stepping in at center for us, because we're going to take Caden Gazzardo, who was our starting center, who even started a little bit as a freshman, and we're going to move Caden over to our right guard position. And then we've got a little bit of a battle at right tackle between 3 guys with Matthew Ray, Taylor Ladner, TJ Harnora, who have all had a spot play and step in a little bit. So we've got some experience there. We just got to figure out what's going to be the best combination for us up front.
All kinds of things you could do with number 7.
Yeah, Jacob is he's going to be in his receiver position. He's going to be a guy that we can easily move in and put him at the running back spot. He's going to handle all the returner duties. He's going to be the punter for us.
People don't realize how good of a punter he is, right?
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he really is.
He's a great soccer player.
Yeah.
He's really great with kickoffs and field goals. We just haven't had to put that extra pressure on him. We've tried to reduce some of that pressure so he can just focus on some of the other stuff that we ask him to do. But throughout the course of the season, I would anticipate that he's going to play all over the place, just depending upon what the scheme's going to be or the game plan for that week. Some of the other guys that we're high on, we graduated Jalen Willis and Josh Massa, who are big hits. But we're excited. We got a young guy, a junior, in Spencer Jordan, who has the measurables. He's a little over 6'2". He's 200 pounds. He can run. He's a track kid. Had a great 7-on-7 season, and we're excited to see what he can do to try and step in and fill Jalen's spot. And then Jake Smeraldo is a returner starter for us. We've got a couple other guys that are going to be rolling in and out. I feel like we're 5, 6, 7 guys deep at our receiver position. Some young guys in Rhett Kimball, BJ Foster, Mason Poirier is going to be a senior that's going to be in that rotation as well. A kid that we really moved. He's been a linebacker for us for 2 years, and we moved him over to the offensive side. And when we put him at receiver starting during the 7-on-7s, our offense really flourished, and it's Christian Westcott. He's another kid that,
and he's lined up in the backfield.
He's going to be kind of like Jacob, where we can bring him in, we can put him at running back, he can play tight end, we can flex him all the way out receiver. He's just a real athletic kid, and if you labeled him, he's just a great football player. Max is back at running back. Max.
He'll be a junior this year.
Max will be a junior,
and a handout to Lowry. He breaks free, 45-50, 45-40, and knocked down inside the 35-yard line. Maximus Lowry.
Junior, and I think what we thought was going to be Max's learning curve going into the season was sped up, and he had to do that learning curve in week 10 and early in the playoffs. And then when he got comfortable, obviously he had a great game against Neville and played well against Rain. And
talk about quarterback and what you plan to do there. And again, replacing a Chris Penton is not an enviable task, but it helps when all the players you just mentioned are there with him.
Well, you asked how do we handle off season, and what have we, looking back on last year, or how are we looking forward? that's been the number one question. Everybody who's ever asked me about the season coming up has been, who's going to be the quarterback? And the answer has been, we got 3 guys. We feel like we have 3 quarterbacks. We just have to figure out which one is the best fit for this team. And those 3 guys, we have a senior who's been backup quarterback for 2 years, Parker Orvin, who had a great summer through the 7-on-7s, and he's been in that position and knows the offense inside and out. And then we brought 2 kids over from the defensive side. Christian Westcott is one we named, who, if he's not going to be the kid who's a quarterback, then he's going to be all over the place, and he'll still play on defense as well. And then Aubrey Womack, who didn't get to play last year because of a knee injury, but he started as a free safety as a freshman 2 years ago, and he's another kid that we're looking at the quarterback position.
So he'll be a junior? Yeah,
he and Christian are going to be juniors.
Okay, let's talk about the defensive side of the football. And, you lose an all-state defensive lineman and Tylen Driver, and, you had some just great players also in the backfield. But, you have some players returning. That's also part of the junior and sophomore class that you were talking about, and players that got experience in the state championship game. You have plenty of players coming back to, again, talk about the newcomers, but also talk about your returns.
Well, we had, as good as we were on defense last year and as good as some of our seniors were, we started 6 sophomores on our defense last year. And a lot of those sophomores started as freshmen. So we've got a handful of juniors that have 2 years of experience going into the season. Our entire secondary is back, with the exception of one kid who's replacing Michael Goche, who was a 4-year starter for us. But Cullen's a new guy who's going to step in and fill his spot. And Cullen's, he's a little taller than Mike. He's a rangy kid. He's very quick. Had a great 7-on-7 season.
Same kind of bulldog.
I think he's going to be a good fit with what we do. The other corner is Brendan Perry, who has started since he was a freshman. Adam, who's going to be a safety, started since he was a freshman. Mackie Bellyatt's going to be a senior, who's a 3-year starter. He started as a inside linebacker as a sophomore because we were so depleted. But his natural position is being one of those safeties of the 3 that we play with. And then John Hogue was our starting free safety. And then, kind of like I said with Christian, if Aubrey doesn't get the quarterback position, then Aubrey naturally slides into a position that he's played before as well. We're kind of senior heavy up front. We've got Zach Bernard, who's one of our better defensive linemen, who's a junior, but really looking at the other 3 are all seniors who have all started here and there throughout their career, going all the way back to their freshman and sophomore years, but none of them have been wholesale week in, week out starters. But our down linebacker position is Eric Kuiper, who's a big, strong kid who has done everything for this program. He started at guard when he was a young kid, and I always told him and told his dad that he'll run through the wall for the program. I love that kid. So I expect him to have a great season. And then 2 big guys in the middle for us will be Nathan Glenn and Brian Fesky, that we hope can eat up some space and let, really where we're youngest, we'll let our linebackers run around a little bit.
Talk about some of the key games that you look at that maybe are measuring sticks.
Well, having the smaller district makes scheduling a nightmare, especially on the back end. When we've got to fill weeks 5, 6, and 7, and everybody else has started district play, you just take what you can get, so sometimes it's not the pick of what you want, but I think our schedule is definitely on the front end. I think our first 4 are something that I'm curious to see how we're gonna tread through that, especially when we're trying to figure out what we are as we go through. We've got to go to Fontainebleau, which we haven't had success there.
The rivalry
against them, so we've got to find a way to navigate that game. We get EJ here. A tough one's going to be Hancock. I think they're going to be very good. Salmon and Pearl River have new coaches. Franklinton had a chance to watch them during the spring. They look like they're going to be something.
New coach as well.
They look like they're going to be something that. That's
you're the only coach in the district that hasn't changed. I didn't realize that. So it is now.
Yeah. What I love about here is, I love our kids. I think our kids have a great makeup, and they want to be here. Sometimes you got to kick them out the building to send them home, but you really want that. And when you can come to work with that every day, our entire staff is back. We had no turnover from our coaching staff, which I feel is one of the best in the state. And they
you still haven't booted BB out yet. I don't know.
No. BB's great. I don't know why we would want to do that. But they make it fun to come to work every day. Their relationship with the kids, it just makes it a healthy environment. And that's fun to come to every day. And then when you can build that, and then win as well, that's kind of what you want.
We'll see how it goes this year. Lakeshore coach Craig Jones, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.